Meow. Our little doggy here, Lexi. Hi.
Is it snack time? Is that what it is?
He's like, yeah, give me some snacks.
Yeah, that's all he wants. He just wants to eat.
There's the cat. That cat's grown up a little bit.
Oh, he's getting big.
Say hi, Callie. Yes, I beat Johnny for once.
Miracles do happen, right?
Where is that slacker anyway? I beat you here tonight.
So Johnny, he was bragging coming in.
I will say I don't paint my face. You don't strike me as a face painter either.
Bad for the skin. Might get breakout.
I know I'm ugly, so whatever. And there's actually some improvement going on.
Guys, you heard it here first. Wes sold something. Yes.
As Johnny said, it was just the three of us, so no safety net of the great guests we've had the last 3 weeks. And
Here we go again.
It's only going to be 2 takes.
Oh, hurry up and get this over with. Guys, 8 minutes is long enough on this podcast.
Yeah, I'm just...
See you guys.
Yeah. All right, Johnny's gone. So
welcome back, everyone, to the Finders Flippers Resell Podcast, episode number 33. Gentlemen, how you doing this evening?
Guys, we've gone to the cats.
We have gone to the cats. Stuart's cat is getting a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Guys, welcome to another episode. Sorry to disappoint you. It's just us. But we have had some amazing guests that we just didn't want you guys to forget that this is our podcast.
True statement.
That's right. So welcome. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you guys enjoyed some of our guests, please drop in the comments and let us know. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. But hopefully we'll still entertain you without a special guest today.
I picked up a pretty cool thing today. It was a 1934, I think, Letterman's jacket from Lake City. Or actually, Letterwoman's jacket. It was a female, so I don't know if it was like a cheerleading sweater. I guess it was a sweater, not a jacket. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know if it has a ton of value, but it's got a lot of local interest. Yeah, and then I went and over to somebody who lived across from my mom and met with the lady's daughter, and got a bunch of stuff from there tonight. Got some pretty cool, like, I guess, alcohol type things. It was a Jack Daniel's clock and a Glenfiddich, which I think some kind of Scotch clock, and then a counter jar that was some kind of Irish whiskey. But yeah, and then some other stuff too, that just some glassware and things like that. But yeah, it was pretty cool. She had some pretty neat stuff.
I think that would be really cool. Like you have people, like you said, in some of our other podcasts, they come in here and say, hey, I'm going to have this, or can you come by and look at this? And you find more things that way, just odds and ends and really neat things that you may not have found had you not been in that space, your store.
And I mean, I think, I've definitely said it before, but relationships are really key in reselling. And this lady, I met her, the person who lived across from my parents, I met her at one of my antique malls one day and just started talking to her. And at this time, she still lived in a house. And she said, I'm getting ready to move in some condos. At the time, she didn't know it was where my parents lived, but she said, hey, do you want to come over to my house and look at some stuff? And this was just from me talking to her. And then that continued. Every time I'd go over to my parents, she'd come out and go, hey, I got something for you. And she'd like give me a picture or something. And then I bought stuff from them today. But, I mean, it is, on the other hand, this situation, it's kind of sad because you're watching somebody basically, I've watched her go from her, I don't know if it was her main house. It was like a 2-level condo. Then so she moved into the apartments where my parents are, and now she's moving to some maybe like a memory care, some real small assisted living place. So, it's definitely
that's the thing that I've found too. Going to these estate sales, you're going through somebody's memories, and if it don't touch you, it should, because you need to be aware of what you're thumbing through,
And what kills me is how many things that I think are really cool that nobody in the family wanted.
Right.
And that's one thing I think, especially me as an antique and vintage seller primarily. I mean, a lot of times I look at myself as I'm not reuniting because it's not going back to a home, but like placing, orphaned antique and vintage items with a new home if somebody's going to love those things and appreciate them. So
right.
At least they're going, if somebody buys it at an estate sale, typically, it's going to, it's going to eventually end up with somebody who wants it. So,
have you ever seen though between your three places, Stuart? Is there any difference between the location and people coming in saying to you, "Hey, would you want to come by?" Have you seen more in a certain location than others?
No, I think it's all just about being in the right place at the right time. I think people constantly come into antique malls trying to sell things, and and the people who run the malls here in Knoxville, they know the kind of stuff that I like. So a lot of times they'll give them my card and they may call me if there's, because I tend to deal in smalls and glassware that some of the other dealers don't deal in as much. But anyway, well, hey, Johnny.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome in.
I was just about to log on and I sold one of my Bills tickets, so I had to transfer those real quick.
Do the Bills play? When do they play? Who do they play this week?
Tomorrow.
That's what I thought. Thursday night game.
Yeah, they're the Thursday game against the Dolphins.
Oh, that should be a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that game at, Johnny?
In Miami.
It's in Miami. You know what, though? I remember last year the Bills played really good down there. I think it was.
Yeah, last year they
Miami.
did well. Two years ago is when everyone got heat stroke, and it was a nightmare.
Right.
I'm just glad it's a night game.
Well, this is the sports edition of our Finders Flippers Resell Podcast. Let's jump into it. My Steelers survived the Atlanta Falcons this past weekend. Kicked a whopping 6 field goals.
Yeah, that was a sight to be seen, huh?
Well, just a lot of issues, trying to figure out who the quarterback is, and but defense is pretty stout though. I think they only allowed like 50-something yards in the second half. So
hey, when you win a game and all you do is kick 6 field goals, your defense is pretty good. So
yeah.
Well,
or the team you're playing offense is just terrible. So out more as time goes.
They did now. The Falcons did have Kirk Cousins. He's come back from an Achilles tear that he had last year at the end of. Partway through last year, I think he was with the Vikings, but he tore his Achilles tendon. And, if it was me, I'd be a little bit ginger. And you got these grown men coming at you. I mean, kudos to him. I wouldn't want TJ Watt coming after me. That guy's a man.
Speaking of the game tomorrow night, I saw where Jalen Wright's got a good chance to play tomorrow because the main guy for the Dolphins is hurt. Then is it HE or whatever, the second string running back? He's a little banged up too. So
okay. That should be an interesting game tomorrow night. Stuart, let's talk about your Titans real quick. They had the Chicago Bears on the ropes.
I'd rather talk about the other Tennessee team because the Titans and Levis is not the answer. That's all I'll say. I mean, just the decisions he was making were,
he's going down and he pitches it out like that, and they intercept the ticket.
They still had the lead at that point too. That's a dumb, just a decision you don't make.
Right. Of course, I've never played in the league, and you all haven't either, so I'm sure things move at warp speed.
I'm sure they do, but it's easy for us sitting here on the podcast to criticize these guys. So.
No, I wouldn't call it criticizing. I would just say we're making an observation.
Yeah,
because everybody in the stands has an opinion, right?
Well, Levis did not have a good track record at Kentucky of making great decisions either. So, But what do you do if you're the Titans? You've now drafted 2 quarterbacks of the future in the last, 4 or 5 drafts, and neither one's worked out. So,
well, I remember wanting the Steelers to take Malik Willis, and they could have, and the Titans picked him up right the very next pick, I believe.
Yeah, and that's worked out well. Who's he playing for now? He's back up
He's with the Packers now. He may have though.
Well, I don't know that the people come here to listen to us talk sports or reselling. So maybe.
Well, that's why I prefaced it with the sports section. Speaking back to reselling, I have an interesting piece for you all to gander on and take a look at.
Yeah, I picked up actually a couple of those today at that apartment I went to, Wes.
Oh yeah,
that exact color. They were like drilled or not drilled, but attached to bookends. So it was 2 of those made in bookends.
Johnny, do you know what this is?
No, I was just thinking, what in the world is that?
It's an insulator, the power lines. These are yeah. And
are they bolos?
No, not really.
Well, some of them are.
Yeah, there's certain ones that are worth some money, but for the most part, they were very, very common. You think they were along every railroad track and that ran throughout America. And in fact, a quick story, when I was a kid at my granddad's farm, the railroad ran through his farm and you could still find those just laying around. And like a lot of the big glass companies made those for the railroad companies or whoever owned the lines. And there are some valuable ones that you can find because they would use like a lot of times the slag glass left over. So you'd get like multicolor ones, but just your plain blue, white, green ones, they're really not. I sell that color for about $6 a piece in my booth.
These are cool. I did a video. I don't know if y'all saw it on my Instagram, but I put a video up and they had hundreds of them because their dad, he had passed away here recently and he was a lineman and he saved these over the years, but it's got these little beads on the end of them. They're drip beads. And of course it hangs upside down, but instead of it coming back underneath this way, the lady told me that her dad told her that these little drip beads would allow the water to drip straight off the bottom of it. So it sits like that. Yes. I thought these were really neat. I picked up 4 of them, and Johnny, they're really, really heavy. They're,
what do really people do with them now?
Decorate. There are people who collect them, and they're. In fact, I went to an estate sale not long ago that had somebody had collected them, and they had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, and they had some of the rarer ones too. But yeah, just the plain ones like that. We had bought out a house several years ago, and there were a bunch of those in it. Like we've got them in one of our window sills because the sun's real pretty coming through them. We have a couple of mostly blue, but I think there's some green and clear ones too. So yeah, overall, it's weird how sourcing goes in cycles. I've had a really good sourcing week. Just all of a sudden, like I've had several people reach out to me. I was telling Wes before you came on, I went over to a lady's apartment and got a Jack Daniels clock and a Glenfiddich clock and can't remember. It was one of the Irish whiskey, like a counter jar. It looked like one of those drugstore like cookie jars, but it had a liquor name on it. And then couple of like liquor related mirrors and things like that that will probably do pretty well in the booth. So
how's the new setup going?
It's going really good. We're having a good month so far in Clinton. It's hard to say whether we would have the same month or not at the old place, but I do really like the layout of the new place and just the way the traffic flows as you come in the door. And when I worked the other day, I was watching and pretty much everybody walked through the booth who came in. Just it's kind of the natural traffic flow. Where before we had a lot of space and we were right inside the door, but when you came in, you were looking at our booth, and a lot of people just kind of look at it with their eyes, then they'd go left. They would never like make the loop around our booth. So, now you got to walk down a couple of steps, and we're like kind of the first booth you come to on the right. So yeah, it's going well.
Advantage, disadvantage to either place. Which one you like better?
Well, I like the new place better. It's one of those, I think, I think I said it in one of the other parts. I think I said more is less in the last podcast, but it's actually less is more. We have less space. I really like the way it's laid out and having the kind of longer, skinnier booth rather than the, square big booth. It just means, when somebody walks through it, you can see everything in the booth right there. You don't have to loop around to see everything. And then it's a bonus that it doesn't smell like, mold and mildew because the basement is flooded so many times at the other place. So yeah, all in all, I like it a lot better than where we were. So
nice.
So Johnny, he was bragging coming in. He beat you this evening. So
I was telling Stuart right before I was logging in, I got a text from StubHub that I had sold some football tickets, so I had to transfer those real quick.
So which game did you transfer?
I sold the Bills Chiefs game.
Oh wow!
Coming up in November, yeah, and that actually covers a third of the season ticket price. Just that game.
I was getting ready to say it's going to cover a pretty good chunk for you. So yeah, those are ones you definitely let go.
They all in, the person spent over $300 a ticket.
So how many tickets do you have, Johnny? Do you just have two?
Two. Yeah.
And so you sold both of them to that game.
Yep. Yeah.
How close are you in
nosebleeds?
Nosebleeds. Okay. Yeah, but still though,
nosebleeds.
Still though, even at that, at that game, that's those are tough tickets, I would think.
Yeah, and I priced them a little. I tried to price them very middle of the pack, so there were maybe 4 or 5 tickets that were in our section that was cheaper, but the majority was above it. So I figured, they could clear out all the bottoms, and then I would get into it. I calculated it out with everything that I should make. If everything sells for what they're listed for, I'll make $800 off of it. So total. So
yeah.
So will you go to any games? Or are you selling them all?
We just went Sunday. So
okay.
I got the one, and I may sneak for one more. But we'll see.
Yeah, when we had Titan season tickets, we were nosebleed too. We were 4 rows from the top, and I guess 2 things. We were real right next to the visitor section where they sold all the visiting tickets. So every game, there'd be 2 or 3 fights break out between Titan fans here and the visiting fans there. And then we were right under. Our seats were perfectly positioned where the white thing above us. If it rained any at all, it dripped right in our lap. It was just perfect. You couldn't do anything about it. And so even after it quit raining, it would just keep dripping.
So we were lucky. Why you let those go, Stuart, or how come you didn't?
Yeah.
renew?
Well, we let it go when we were moving to Knoxville, and we got really, really lucky because the year we sold them, the next year's when the bottom really started thawing out and people couldn't give away their PSLs. We were able to sell the PSLs and everything, and actually made a little bit. And we had the cheapest PSLs, and I think we sold them for about $50 more than what we paid for them. So, I'd have been happy just to get anything out of them because.
So, Johnny, you going to jump over to the new Buffalo Bills Stadium when they go?
Yeah, I might. I think the first year there'll be so much excitement and so many people wanting to get in on it that just from a reseller standpoint, it'll be worth it. And then depending upon how good the team is at that point, whether or not you keep it. But I think whoever can have season tickets for the first year will do pretty well on it. So
right.
Now, are you guaranteed season tickets with your current?
No, because the stadium is smaller.
The new one is?
Yeah.
Huh. So how many does it hold?
It's only going to hold 60 or 65, something like that.
Okay.
And I think it's at 72 right now. When I was a kid, it was 80, 81. And then they started putting in more suites and things that kind of made everything smaller. So this one's going to be quite down. But what I'm hoping is there's still 2 more seasons before the new one. So I'm hoping that some seniority will get built up and I'll still make the list. If not, that's fine.
Now that new one's still going to be outside, but it's going to have an overhang. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's actually pretty cool. It's being built in the parking lot across the street. So when we were there this weekend, you could like see the shell of it, which was pretty cool.
Neat.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing that on a smaller scale here in Knoxville. They're moving the minor league baseball team from Sevierville actually into downtown Knoxville. When you're driving down the interstate, you can see the stadium taking shape now.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be. I mean, I'm looking forward to the ballpark being downtown because we always go to like 2 or 3 games a year, and it's like 30-minute drive. It's not terrible, but it'll be nice just to hop on Millbrook Pike and head down there and go to
the Knoxville Minutes.
Yeah,
visit Knoxville.com.
There you go. We say that enough. We're going to get a sponsorship.
I'm telling you now.
One of these days.
Stuart, back when I was a kid, over at the old Bill Maher Stadium where the Knoxville Blue Jays played. Yeah, the KJs. I worked on the grounds crew over there, and I got to go out and in between innings, like rake dirt and stuff, and help pull tarps when it rained. There was one night it come such a deluge at the park. We ran out there and put the tarp on it. We ended up just staying out there sliding across that thing on the tarp, and it just soaked. We were just soaked from head to toe.
I was going to ask if you were doing the diving across the tarp.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Was it Rick Dempsey? They always showed like running it. Like, the big...
We did it all. I mean, we did it all. I was only like 14, 15 years old when we were doing that. But I ended up, I got a bat from a guy. His last name was Allery, I think was his last name. He cracked his bat, and they left it in the dugout. They didn't want to take it because they thought we'll just throw it away. And I asked the guy working for us, I said, "Can I have that?" He said, "Yeah, just take it with you." And I still have it. That's cool.
Too bad it wasn't like Jesse Barfield. I remember KJ's. By the way, Wes, how much did you say you spent on your Beanie Babies when you bought them? Was it 30 or 35 or something that you?
Yeah, it's like $25, $35 for the whole thing, I believe.
Well,
or something like that.
We'll do this every week till they're all sold. So our new total of Beanie Baby sales for Wes is this is just your cut half. When we half it after fees and stuff, you're up to $28.17. So we're almost at break even on the Beanie Babies, and with the Fall Festival coming up, I think we're going to blow that out of the water. We'll probably have you up to $35, $40 easy.
Well, I'm gonna say 35 is I'm in the money after past 35.
We're just $7 away then, so we're getting there.
This is Johnny, exciting, guys.
This is exciting. It's a long saber tooth, but buddy, I'm going to get there. Anything I get over $35, I am there.
I mean, you really did buy them at a pretty good cost, though.
I did. It's just comical to me, though, just to think now. But
I know, but what happens if they're then profitable and it was a good buy? I mean, how do you wrap your head around that? Beanie Babies were a good buy?
Well, keep in mind that, that's $28 we're splitting, so it's really $56. Then take out the fees, it's probably, what would that be? Like maybe probably $72, $73 worth of Beanie Baby stuff sold.
So yeah,
you guys should go to dinner together with the money, and then whatever Beanie Babies are left over, you just sit around on the table.
That sounds like a good short one day, Wes.
that is a good short.
It'll be like the sequel to our first one, where
Stuart's in his suit, just like passing out money, and it's just all that Beanie Baby money.
He's sitting back with his pop, going, "So, kid." That's good.
Yeah, we'll have to do that.
Get the bubbles going out of the pipe.
Guys, I do want to know, have you visited the Greetings from Knoxville sign?
Is that actually a sign, or is that just
I don't even know where that is, Johnny.
It's painted on the side of a building.
Oh, I think that is
4th and Gill.
Yeah, I was going to say I've seen that before. It is downtown. So
I've seen it. I hadn't even paid attention to it.
By the way,
if Visit Knoxville was going to sponsor us, I wanted them just to see that we were out in the community.
One of the things about the Beanie Babies, Stuart, we've only dove into half of them.
Yeah.
So there's still another half to go.
We're holding back the really valuable ones.
Oh yeah, we're holding the big sellers for sure.
Yeah. So, did y'all see where they're raising the postal rates this month, and then they're going to do it again for the holiday? So it's like on September the 16th, the rates are going up, and it's not like an across the board rate. It only affects, well, they say it only affects certain zip codes, but it's like over almost 18,000 zip codes are affected. So it's not just like some zip codes. And I did like a little bit of like just Googling some of the zip codes. It looks like they're mostly rural type ones. So, and I saw where somebody else had said, yeah, it's basically a rural surcharge is what it is. They're not calling it that. So yeah, that takes effect September 16th. So by the time this airs, I think it'll be like one day after this, maybe, or maybe the day it airs. So, but in any case, and then the holiday surcharge is going to affect the 1st of October, and that lasts all the way through the end of the year.
Yeah.
I guess you need to run out. Well, you should have already run out as of, like you said, it was recording and bought your forever stamps.
Yeah, of course, that doesn't do any good for the stuff you ship on. They don't have forever. They should have a forever priority mail rate. You can but
I will say that is a reason why I just stick with calculated shipping.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I still do. So on the 5 platforms I sell on, I do calculated shipping on Etsy, do free shipping on eBay, Poshmark's calculated shipping too because it's built in. So yeah, Etsy and Poshmark shipping's paid for by the buyer. eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Mercari, I pay for the shipping. And so far, even with the increases, ultimately, somebody's paying for the shipping because I do raise the prices some to cover it, but it's still less than what they would probably pay with the shipping. And so far that model's still working, but, I think the Postal Service just had a rate increase on July 1st, and now they're doing this one that's not a board, but, I don't know what percentage of zip codes that is when you say 18,000. But it's, I'm sure you're going to hit some of them when you sell stuff. And then another one coming for the holidays, albeit kind of temporary, although, I'm sure then they'll have another increase shortly into the year in 2025. But to this point, I still refuse to use UPS or FedEx because, I've just had all kind of issues with like back charges and stuff, especially with FedEx. So
we've actually been getting a lot of back charges with USPS.
Oh, really?
And I was actually on the phone with them, and the lady didn't really have an answer because I kept getting, and they were small, but they were adding up. They were like $1.71 or whatever were the chargebacks, but there was like 12 of them, which again, not a huge deal, but the fact that they were happening, and it was because they were shipping out of zone. And I was like, how are they shipping out of zone if I'm going to the closest post office, to my house? And so she started to explain like the numbers. And I guess there's a chart on the USPS website where like if your zip code, like our zip code starts 27. So there's certain numbers that are technically in our zone. And it just opened a whole new world of like how zones and post offices and stuff, how it works.
So the post office you were taking them to that's closest to your house is not in the same zone as you?
So it is when I looked it up. So she didn't really have an answer for me on why that was happening. So that's what I thought. I was like, we're in the Southeast. Like I'm going a road over, like I'm not on the zone line. But
there's actually 8 zones. There's only 8 postal zones in the country, I think, because you can do the.
Yeah. So there's a smaller zip code zone that I had no idea about, and I actually looked it up. It's true. So like if you I don't know what your guys' zip code is, but ours is 27410. So 27, there's like X amount of numbers that you can technically ship from that's still considered your zone. So there's like basically like say you're in zone 1, there's like 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, like that.
And it makes that much difference in price between, I've never heard that, but I used to drop some stuff off in Chattanooga and I never got any charges, but that was when I worked there. It's been 3 or 4 years ago. But yeah, I thought as long as you were in the, I think we're zone, here in Tennessee, it's either zone 2 or zone 3. I can't remember, but I'll have to look into that because make sure I don't go across town to drop my stuff off for sure.
Yeah. So she explained to me that like you may be going to the closest post office to you, but it's not because of the zip code change. It may not be the right zip. I was like, that is the dumbest thing. But
yeah. So, anybody's watching, if y'all know anything more specific about these postcard zones, or is Johnny just getting the wool pulled over his eyes?
Yeah, we definitely
I do know
take a deeper dive into
postal workers will tell you stuff that's like completely false. You can talk to 10 postal workers about media mail, for example, and you'll get 10 different answers on, whether you can ship a vinyl record or, but so yeah, I'll be curious what other people, because anybody else experienced that. In all my years of reselling, I've never gotten a charge for that. I've never gotten a upcharge from USPS. I actually got a refund one time for something. I don't remember why, but like FedEx, I think I may have said this on another show, but I shipped this box that had a card in it. It's like some kind of sports card. So it was, like a little box. And, I got a charge for like $55 and it said it was dimensional weight, that it was, I guess it got mismeasured, but there was no, I never could. It happened twice. And I think the other one wasn't quite that much. And I argued with FedEx and never could get my money back. And, and then so the next time I shipped FedEx, I dropped it off and got them to scan it, but the receipt I had didn't have the dimensions on it. So, I'm like, okay, so I asked the guy, if this happens again, he goes, I don't know. That's basically what he said. So
yeah,
I never shipped them again. And my UPS story goes back, not anything I've ever shipped, but when I was working at one of the companies I worked for in Nashville, the UPS stuff, they were constantly like misdelivering things, but the straw that broke the camel's back, I'm sitting there one day and my office mate comes in with this UPS package. He goes, hey man, this was laying out in the middle of the road, and and it was addressed to like a building a couple of doors down. And so we held it, and the UPS guy came in, and we go, hey, you think you were missing anything on your deliveries today? He goes, I don't know why. He goes, well, we found this in the middle of the road. He goes, that damn door. He goes, it keeps popping open every time I drive down the road. So it wasn't. That's like we weren't too concerned about it. It's just like, yeah, the door keeps popping open, like it happens all the time.
Well, we don't have any guests on this evening. We've had a run here for several weeks of different guests on our podcast, and wow, it's been a neat thing to have these people come on, like our last week, the Hustle Bee Ken. We appreciate him coming on. That was a lot of fun.
Awesome. And I will mention, if this is your first time watching this, I appreciate it, but. Yeah, make sure to go back and watch the Hustle Bee one. As far as like just a learning, informative one, I would put that one up there with Popeye's postcards as far as just educational material, because you don't really get that when it's just the three of us for sure. But
no.
And then we had what? So we had Hustle Bee, and then we had Troy, Mountain and Treasure.
Mountain Man. Yep.
Yeah, I'm just talking. That's the one Johnny he mentioned. Man, Stuart, you're really engaged in this one because we started talking about Bruce, and I was just like lit up.
Stargazing.
Yeah,
we need more booth talk.
We were kindred spirits, and then we got to talking about ghosts.
You never know what we're going to talk about.
Really engaged.
We had Joe and Nicole before that. I'd flip that. Along with my wife came on for that one. That was a fun one as well.
Yep.
We still got to get with them and have them set up a game show one time for our podcast.
Stuart, are you guys thinking about going to Boss this year or next year, however it looks?
I don't know. The problem is it ends up costing so much. It's by the time you pay your plane ticket to Vegas and get a hotel room for, 4 nights or whatever it is. I don't know. We haven't decided for sure yet. I may go ahead and book a room at the Golden Nugget. That's where we always stay, and it's the cheapest one in the old Las Vegas. And they're
Fremont Street.
Yeah, and they're usually completely refundable. So I may go ahead and book a hotel room anyway. I'm waiting to. I'll let you know if I get any emails. The Golden Nugget constantly sends me like special emails. That hey, we got a promotional rate. So may do that. But yeah, I don't know. I'd love to go again, but it's just.
I noticed it's during the week too.
Well, usually I didn't look at the exact dates. It's usually.
When is it, Johnny? Exactly.
Monday to Wednesday.
Yeah,
I think it's like March 10th to the 13th.
March 10th to the 13th.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it'd be awesome if we could, if we could all three go out there and do the show from there. But
that would be really cool.
Live from Fremont Street, but we'll just have to see whether we go or not. Yeah. Speaking of get-togethers, Johnny, I saw eBay Open's coming up September 24th and 25th into this month, and I saw one of the in-person events in Greensboro.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know if they're official eBay. They call them watch or kickoff parties. But yeah, if you just Google eBay Open and go to the eBay page that comes up, Greensboro is one of the ones that's listing you RSVP. It might be a good networking opportunity to go.
I'll be live from the eBay Open.
Let's go to our man on the street, Johnny, over at eBay Open.
I'll be like,
and no, Johnny, it's not a golf tournament, the eBay Open, or tennis.
eBay Opens for the most part is all virtual again this year. I mean, I would have loved, when I went to Boss and some of the other things I've gone to, talking to people about going to eBay Open. Apparently, it was just incredible.
So, Johnny, have you been to Boss before?
I've been to Boss twice. Mm-mm. Oh, Johnny.
Yeah. So, Stuart, tell us a little bit about Boss. If somebody was thinking about wanting to go, what might they see, or what it's about?
Well, the basic format. So they have it all. They do it all at the Las Vegas. It's the Blind Center of Las Vegas, which is not right in like old Vegas, but it's kind of out. So everybody Ubers or car, ride shares from wherever they're staying in the Fremont Street area down to there. But, it's just, it's usually like 3 full days of different speakers and just a lot of networking opportunities. You're going to make some lifelong friends. That's how, I met Molly and all those, the consignment chat ladies. And that's where I met Joe and Nicole briefly the second time I went. So you got a lot of networking opportunities like that. And then, there's definitely some fun to it as well, being in Vegas. It's certainly one of those things, if you're trying to quantify it, like a direct, I'm going to get this return out of going. That's hard to do because you're going to easily spend a couple of grand just by the time you get an airplane ticket and hotel. But yeah, I'm definitely glad I went. And I think it was totally worth it to be able to go. And like the first year I went by myself, and I'd just gone, it was literally like a week after I went full time, and I didn't know anybody. I'd never watched YouTube videos or anything. So I got there completely by myself, and it did not take long though to kind of find my tribe, so to speak. And then Amy went with me the second year. And then we also went to Camp Listing Party one year, which I guess that was year before last, and very similar. Although Amy liked Camp Listing Party a lot better because it was all in one, just like we stayed at the hotel and that's where everything was. You didn't go out and do anything. So it kind of forced everybody to stay together. But then they have at Boss, they had the last night, they'll have a big banquet and they have a band. Actually, the Blind Center of Las Vegas has a house band. That's a pretty cool operation. If you are ever in Vegas, just make sure you go visit it. Even if you're not out there for something like this, they'll give you a tour of it. But they have one section where like they repair electronics and resell them on eBay. And it's all these blind people or people with not, with vision loss of some sort. And then they have a catering thing that once again, it's completely, staffed by the people they serve. So it's a really neat operation. That's kind of the charity that the Boss, Vicky, Katie, and Teresa Cox are the three who started it. And that's the charity they've adopted. And Yeah, it's a lot of fun though. Y'all have never been to Poshfest either, have you, Johnny? Have you?
Nope.
That just finished up in Nashville over here like last week. I saw a lot of people posting stuff about it. I did see where they announced, I was reading where they announced, I guess they always announce like a bunch of new features on Poshmark at the end of those kind of events. And I mean, I don't know that anything was much that would affect me, but I know they're doing like a consignment beta, which I don't know exactly what that means. I assume it means you can like sign up and then maybe people will say, yeah, I can sell your stuff for you, maybe.
But if you made it that far,
yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly how that works. They're kind of bringing the AI, kind of like eBay has to do your listings for you. But I mean, I use the List Perfectly AI, and I mean, and it seems to work a lot better than the eBay one anyway. I don't know what the Poshmark one will be like.
I think it would be neat to do a meetup with some people. I'd like to meet some other resellers, especially like you, Johnny. I'd like to officially meet you. I've known you for over a year now.
We ought to try to do that here in the Knoxville area, Wes. I mean, just we could probably easily get 4 or 5, people to start with who would want to do it. Just meet at a restaurant one night, maybe have ask if somebody wants to do a little, I don't know if you call it a presentation or not, but just talk about something, whether it's I guess one of us could do it the first time, just talk about what we sell, or I know a lot of cities do it.
Of course, I'll have to bring Johnny in because Johnny says I don't sell anything. I'm going to go ahead and bring Johnny in. Johnny, come on up here.
Well, could the Finders Flippers Podcast Inc. pay Johnny's expenses to come over here?
Possibly. Let's see. We'll give you 17 for all your money.
Change. I'm sure there's some street parking this organization could cover.
Yeah, we end up over to Smokey's game, which I'm going to go back to that real quick, Stuart. I wanted to ask you a question. Are they going to remain the Tennessee Smokies, or are they going to go back to the Knoxville Smokies?
I'm not sure. I think they're going to stay the Tennessee Smokies, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
All right, so I just tried to sign up for it, and it is full, and there is a wait list for tickets.
Oh, for the eBay?
Mm-hmm. For
eBay Boss thing? Or for eBay? For eBay.
The eBay Open.
eBay.
Oh, the eBay Open kickoff party in Greensboro?
Yeah.
Hey, if you tell them you're with the Finders Flippers Resell Podcast, maybe that'll bump you up the line.
No, just tell them you're with Ken the Hustlebee.
Yeah.
Done.
And I'm not even sure if they're like, I think I read something, maybe anybody in any city can like put an application in to host one. So I don't know, maybe there could be a Knoxville kickoff party if we wanted to do that. I'm not sure about that.
I need to know if Molly knows about this.
See, reach out to Molly and see if she's going. Maybe you can go with her +1 if her husband's not going.
Mm-hmm.
Or even if he is, maybe you can like go with their kid or something. I mean, I don't know that you're that much older than their son. So. Going with your hat backwards.
Johnny, go through your clothes and find that 8-year-old Buffalo Bills jacket that you wore to the game.
little Snoopy shirt.
Speaking of younger people, I did have a good yard sale find this last weekend. Something I don't normally deal in. It was video games, and they were all, for the most part, DS games, which I think my kids may have had a DS, but I'm not 100% sure. But they were all 50 cents, so I didn't even comp them. I just bought them all. I figured, hey. So I just sold the Legend of Zelda DS game for $38, and then I sold a Sonic the Hedgehog something or another for $36. So just on those 2 games, I mean, I'm more than paid for the other 6 or 7 that I bought.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
So, what's funny is I happened to get there, Johnny, and I look in the box and it's like a few video games mixed in with movies. I'm like, how much? They said everything in that box is 50 cents a piece. And then this other guy, like a younger guy, kind of walked up right behind me. you could tell he was waiting for me, and I could see over my shoulder, like, what's he taking? So I took every one of the video games, and he kind of went over there and looked at it a little bit and just walked away. So. Then, of course, I went, psych. No.
Stuart, is there anything that is Beanie Baby-esque that Wes should be sourcing that does well in booths that may not do well like on eBay?
Let me be clear, Johnny. I'm not sourcing anything Beanie Baby.
Listen, you're onto something. I mean, if you're getting those at $0.25 a piece, and what do they sell in the booth, Stuart? Like $5-6?
Yeah, I'm selling them $5 or 3 for $12.
I mean, those are pretty good margins.
One thing would be, vinyl records. Not that you can't sell those online, but the ones people sell online generally have to be in, the collectors are buying them, so condition's really important. In my booth, I mean, I put $8 pretty much on every record, and it doesn't matter. I mean, unless it's just trashed, but for the most part, they're all $8. And so, like, I have my brother, he always looks for records for me at yard sales.
I do have some records. I do have a pretty good stash of records. Of course, I sold that Elvis one I talked about on a previous podcast. I did really well with that one. But yeah, I don't know. I'm like you, Stuart. Selling them online is a little bit more difficult.
Well, there's just not that many. Like, occasionally, like I found, you remember, I may have mentioned this in an older show too, but you remember the Christian band Petra?
Mm-hmm.
I found a sealed Petra record, and I mean, I happened to just look it up. And any of the sealed ones I look up, and I sold it for like $70. And then there was another sealed record I found. So occasionally I'll put them online, but like what I do with my booth is, I mark them all $8. I mean, it can be one that I could sell online for 12 or 13, or if I put 12 or 13 on it in my booth, I might sell it. But the way I look at it, I usually get them for $1 or so, $1 or less a piece. If I put $8 on them, people find a treasure and pay less than what they would have to pay for it somewhere else, so they're going to come back. And I sell enough of the other ones that maybe they're only $6 records, but in a booth, people are going to just, oh, that's cool. It's I don't know, Little River Band, or somebody I've been looking for, and I'll pay $8 for that.
Well, that is all the time that we have this evening on the Finders Flippers Resell Podcast. Episode 33, gentlemen, is in the books.
Ooh, yep. Larry Bird.
Ooh, that is Larry Bird, isn't it? Yeah, thanks for everybody for watching. As Johnny said, I know it was probably a little bit of a letdown when you came in. It was just the three of us, but had a great time. Thanks to everybody for watching. Make sure you subscribe. We're still on that road to 200 when we're going to do our next live, so really looking forward to getting there, and we'll see everybody next time.
Bye, guys.
Well, gentlemen, have a great evening. See you later.